You suck at cooking, yeah, you totally suck.
Today we're making pan-seared steak, also known as beef toast, which is one of the best ways to cook a steak. Sure, you can use controlled fire if you want to use 2 million-year-old technology, but today we're going to use 129-year-old technology for a fresh, modern taste. I've got a ribeye here, which I'm removing from the fridge 20 minutes in advance so the center comes up to room temperature. Bam! That's a big-ass myth, as it takes over 2 hours for thick steak to get up to room temperature. And some people who've tested it say it doesn't make a noticeable difference, so if you don't do it, don't worry about it. Cover it with very small rocks at least 40 minutes in advance for reasons, but if you don't have time for that, just salt it right before it hits the pan. Here's an acronym to help you remember. SALT. Spread at least 40 minutes in advance. Most guides say use kosher salt, but I'm using sea salt to combine the flavors of seafood and land food. For a good sear without overcooking it, your steak should be at least 1.5 inches thick or around 3 times as thick as your... You know, one big advantage of pan frying over grilling is you never have to experience the outside world. You can just stay inside. Forever. Another great thing about pan frying is you don't have to deal with Bob next door saying, "You know, you should only flip it once to seal in the moisture." Whatever, Bob, you have mustard on your shirt. Wick away any excess moisture with a thin slice of tree. Now we'll just give our stove element a scrape. Oh wait, we don't have to do that because this isn't a dirty barbecue. Pan's on medium-high, throwing in some oil. Make sure you use one with a high smoke point, such as one of these. And be mindful to avoid any of these because their smoke point isn't high enough. Once that oil is just about smoking, lay your steak in away from you so if you drop it, the oil won't splash on you. Here's an acronym to help you remember. Away. Always lay steak away from you. Remember that steak is notoriously clingy. You'll have to give it time to let go of the pan, but after a minute or so you can flip. And remember, the best way to sear a steak is to only flip it once. Bam! That's a big-ass myth. The more you flip, the more even it cooks because you're keeping that heat going on both sides. And remember, crust is flavor. I'm not talking about this crust. And I'm also not talking about your crusty attitude, which I really don't need in the kitchen right now. Get out. No, not you, you're good. I'm talking about this crust, aka a one-way ticket to Flavor Village. Basting also helps keep the heat on both sides, throwing in some butter to add the flavor of butter, and the oil will raise the smoke point of that butter so it won't burn. Bam! Not true. If the oil is hotter than the butter's smoke point, it's the oil burning the butter instead of the pan. So get that butter in a couple minutes before it's done. I threw in some rosemary to add the flavor of rosemary and also a serving of vegetables. A little more basting action for flavor dispersion. And this is an excellent time to forget to grind on some pepper. Now drive a steak into the steak, just in case you accidentally cooked vampire meat. And it's best to stab it with a steak that tells you the temperature if you're not cooking a steak that has a built-in thermometer. And here's a handy scale so you know what name to call the temperature you like. You'll have to cook it to 145 degrees Fahrenheit in order for it to be USDA approved, but keep in mind that nothing can replace the approval that comes from yourself. Get it out of the pan 10 degrees lower than you want it because, whoa, that looks like a turtle missing a back leg. Anyway, just like a turtle when you sneak up and scare it, the steak will rise around 10 degrees more after you take it out. We'll rest the steak for around 10 minutes to make it extra juicy for other reasons. And yes, you can poke it with a fork, it's not going to cause the steak to leak. Whoa! Once that's done, you can cut it open. This is a medium rare, verging on rare, but if you want it more done, you can just desaturate this and perfect. Now for a quick pan sauce. First, it's called pan sauce because after you eat it, you're going to need a nap. Once your pan has cooled down, call in a shrub removal service, put it on low heat, then throw in a half cup of broth, a teaspoon of balsamic vinegar, some more butter if you want, and some freeze-dried chives. Then wash the dishes while cooking until you have this ridiculous gravy. Pour it on your steak or dip it or drink it with a straw and try not to get addicted.